It began thousands of years ago. The mighty Fraser, after winding and tumbling through mountains and forests, deposited at its mouth the rich soils it had gathered along the way. It created a delta teeming with life, abundant with berries, and as the salmon began their journey upriver, the first people camped on the shores, feasting on the plentiful bounty. In the mid-1800s, this fertile soil, ready for the plow, attracted the attention of Hugh McRoberts to a place by the river his daughter affectionately called Richmond View. News spread quickly of McRoberts' plentiful crops, and he was soon followed by other early pioneers, nicknamed mud flatters. For indeed, traversing this great bog of an island was a real challenge. Realizing that the potential of these islands would only be achieved through cooperation, they worked together, bringing community to this place by the river. The need for a local government became apparent, and after 25 settlers petitioned for municipal status, the new township of Richmond was incorporated. Early meetings in reviewed Boyd's home focused on the development of roads, dikes, and, with much debate, bridges to the mainland. The years that followed would be remembered as a period of firsts. The need for improved transportation was spurred on, in part by the activities taking place in the southwest corner of the island. Named after its first settler, Manoah Steeves, Steveston was becoming a boomtown of its own. A New York reporter was quoted as saying, "The date of my visit synchronized with the great annual rush of the fish from the sea. There are 29 canneries at this town of plank streets and wooden houses, and big canneries that straggle along the riverfront." Steveston canneries were producing up to 200,000 cases of salmon a year, and in 1889, the first tall ship loaded with salmon sailed from Britannia Cannery bound for England. The seasonal work offered by the burgeoning fishing industry attracted people of many backgrounds, giving Richmond an early multicultural character. As both the fishing and farming communities grew, so did the opportunities for entertainment, with Mineru Park Racetrack drawing visitors from across Richmond and neighboring towns. In 1910, this track was the site of the first powered flight west of Winnipeg, a novelty preview of an industry that would one day play a very important role in Richmond's development and economy. Although the tiny community was greatly affected by the First World War, this was a period of growth for Richmond. With the approach of the 30s, Canada headed into the Depression, but Richmond weathered the course better than most communities. Its agricultural base enabled the township to provide the essential food supply for its residents. Through the efforts of numerous organizations and church groups, there was always someone to offer assistance of food, money, clothing, and shelter. Even though life was often difficult, Richmond residents continued to come together for recreation. For years, the town boasted the best lacrosse, rugby, and football teams in the area, with local residents working together to support these activities. While aspiring aviators had been attracted to Richmond for 20 years, it was the establishment of the Vancouver Airport in 1931 that would make Richmond the gateway to the West and eventually the world. The interurban tram became a vital connection for conveying farm goods to Vancouver, but local residents viewed the tram as a link to the nightlife in the growing city across the river. In turn, Vancouverites enjoyed a ride on the rails to one of Richmond's increasingly busy racetracks. Canada was soon at war again, and while young men and women signed up for service at home and abroad, local groups organized fundraising events to aid the war effort, and many individuals offered service however they could. The stress of the war was felt very deeply in the community, as Richmond was divided by the forced internment of Canadians of Japanese ancestry. The end of the war and the ensuing baby boom brought a period of major growth to Richmond, an influx that created a need for more community services, opening the door for new businesses. Citizens continued to take part in shaping the town through the formation of ratepayers associations, focusing on the provision of roads, schools, and other amenities, and fundraising for parks and community halls. Sports groups, churches, and service organizations continued to flourish. Business and industry prospered as transportation links were enhanced. The Oak Street Bridge provided a direct route to Vancouver, while the Dease Island Tunnel created a new route to Point South and the United States. By the time Richmond reached its 100th birthday in 1979, there was much to celebrate. The 60s and 70s had seen the construction of many new facilities. In an arrangement unique to Richmond, the school board and the township jointly purchased and developed schools and neighborhood parks. The 70s had also brought two more bridges: the Knight Street Bridge, serving the growing warehousing district to the east, and the Arthur Lang, feeding the airport to the west. In the final 2 decades of the millennium, growth, development, and community involvement continued to be major themes. While experiencing rapid growth in the community, the city worked closely with residents, businesses, and local groups to create a community plan, balancing the range of residential, business, agricultural, and environmental needs, and reflecting the character of Richmond, as it strives to be one of the most appealing, livable, and well-managed cities in Canada. This city became the destination of choice for many visitors and new residents from the Pacific Rim, South Asia, and other parts of the world, a cultural mix that brought a colorful tapestry to Richmond's landscape. Municipal partnerships with community groups and businesses gave rise to many new public and recreation facilities. And the newly expanded airport continued to be a major hub of activity, providing thousands of jobs in airline and hospitality-related industries. When in 1990, Richmond's name was formally changed to the City of Richmond, it marked the true coming of age of the city. Innovation and excellence is reflected in many awards and inquiries from other cities eager to learn from its leadership and successes. Throughout the city, there are numerous reminders of the role played by individuals and organizations alike, shaping Richmond into what it is today. Richmond is the spirit of the land and the river. It is the strength, endurance, caring, and generosity of workers, neighbors, and volunteers. While the city has grown and evolved, the sense of community has remained strong. It is this spirit of cooperation and goodwill which has always been Richmond's secret of success and which will guide Richmond into the new millennium.